This have never happened before. Nobody ever believes that Natasha Akpabio can come this way. They asked Natasha Akpabio maybe he had an evidence against Akpabio based on the allegations that she had been leveraging on Akpabio on sexual harassment and all of that. But the moment they asked her the question, Natasha laughed in a public station. She laughed horribly, and the moment she laughed, she nodded her head and provided the evidence. Nobody ever believes it. Nobody said this coming. No wonder Natasha had been doing everything possible to disgrace Akpabio without fear. No wonder Natasha had been going this far to different international stations just to disgrace Akpabio. They never see this coming. They never see that Natasha had an evidence that is recorded. I'll play the full video in this very video. You see everything the way it goes. So I would like guys to stay connected to the end of this video. If you can share the video as you're watching it, just do what to share it. Share to diverse social media platforms. Let it go viral. And if you can share it, just like it. Like the video, give it a thumb up so that it will be recommended. Hit the notification bell icon alongside so that whenever we drop a new video in few hours time, YouTube will easily let you to know. Natasha Akpabio did the unexpected few hours ago. Nobody even see this coming. It was few days ago that Natasha actually landed in Nigeria, and the moment Natasha landed in Nigeria, though a lot of dramas took place in Kogi, Yaya Bello and his boy Ododo, which is the governor of Kogi State, they connived with Akpabio. They working together, they working intertwined, they work together, and they make sure that they impose a lockdown on Kogi State. They said there should be no convoy, there should be no political gathering and all of that in Kogi State. And they is targeting Natasha directly. So Natasha flew on helicopter. You know the story, you know how everything happened. Many of you have saw the video, that is not where we're heading to. But the moment all these things happen, Natasha still apprehend. And someone came out in a live TV program. He said if Ododo and Yaya Bello are on a ticket and Natasha is contesting against that same ticket, then Natasha is going to win them because is having the voice of the people and she's having Kogi people at her back and all of that. Now, the drama of Natasha and Akpabio enter another level. Akpabio, according to the report, have been doing everything possible just to sign in this whole issue, sign in this whole occasion because he never wants to let the issue to go far. But Natasha took it to international level. But I said that's not enough. Natasha arrived Nigeria with evidence. This woman provided evidence. A lot of bloggers, a lot of media platforms, a lot of media houses have been saying that Natasha cannot just be accusing Akpabio without an evidence, even to the extent that some people are saying that Akpabio can never allow an evidence to be in place. Akpabio can never be so careless that there will be an evidence and all of that. But Natasha provided an evidence. Nobody ever expected it. The moment they asked Natasha the question, do you have an evidence? This woman laughed. I will play the full video in this very video. Come and see evidence in an hotel. So if you can share the video as you're watching it, just do well to share it. Share to the social media platforms. Let it go viral. And if you can share it, just like it. Like the video, give it a thumb up so that it will be recommended for us. I didn't mean that Natasha provided just an evidence would have been better, but there is an hotel evidence. Now, how are they going to say that this did not happen? Because Natasha in question is a lawyer. This woman is a lawyer, and I've been saying it right from time. Natasha, before you can kill someone, you need to be very smart to the extent that you need to get a single evidence. If at all if it is an evidence, it is fine. If the evidence is a picture, fine. Then if it is a video, that will go a long way. But I believe so well that Natasha should be smart because she's a lawyer in profession. Before she becomes a politician at all, she had been a lawyer. She's a barrister. Now Natasha know how the law works. But the moment a lot of people are saying that Natasha did not have an evidence, Natasha keep mute. She didn't say anything, not knowing that this woman have a lot in her wardrobe. She had a lot in her cupboard. But Natasha have finally burst everywhere. Everywhere is boiling right now because the unexpected have finally happened. What Natasha spit out, the evidence she brought out, they never see this coming. And the moment they asked Natasha that why have you not provided all these evidences before and all of that, she said they did not give her room to bring out the evidence, that they did not want to investigate the matter. That is why she did not provide the evidence. You will see show in this very video. You will see things the way it goes. Just stay connected to the end of the video. If you can share the video, just do it to share it. And if you can't share it, just like it. Now, the relationship between Natasha's husband and Akpabio is finally bridging right now because nobody can open his or her eyes on ground for this to happen to his spouse and all, because the relationship between Natasha and Akpabio's husband before, they're like a tight friend. Even Natasha even attested to the fact, and Akpabio actually attested to the fact. Akpabio did not dispute the fact that he and Natasha's husband, they're very good friends. They even went to marry Natasha together. Now, Akpabio'S, everywhere is boiling right now. Just stay connected as I play the video. I'll come back again.
My people are very peaceful, and I've always preached peace. Let me say this. Everyone knows that the Bira person, we are very assertive. We're so assertive that it might come up as if we are stubborn, but we aren't. We do not like being cheated. And I tell you, it took a whole lot for me to speak calm to my people in the past 1 month so that they will not react to my suspension or to the harassment claim, because they were very upset when I came up on Arise then to narrate the challenges I had to face in the Senate the past 1 year. So that ordinarily created a lot of anger in the minds of an average Ibera person. And if you know us, we are typically the fire. If we are to align us to an element, I would say we are the firebrand. We just boom up. So I had to preach calm to them. I've told them to be law-abiding citizens, not to take law into their hands. And believe me, if you know the history of my people, you actually appreciate the fact that they have remained peaceful. And what we saw there, like I said, there was a lot of dancing, there was celebration, we ate, and we danced, and we chatted to ourselves. And the next day, which was yesterday, I had an empowerment program, which we did some trainings for citizens, for indigents in welding and carpentry. And then I also flagged off the groundbreaking ceremony of the maternity and child care center, which I was constructing. So it was pretty much peaceful. There was no violence, there was no fighting, no shouting, nothing. So,
except that it became political when you started speaking.
I'm a politician. Let me rephrase. I'm a political reformer. I like to be called a political reformer. And I'm a serving senator. The fact that I'm suspended illegally does not remove my legitimacy as a senator. I remain a senator. And at every gathering, I owe my people a duty to educate them on politics and their expectations with regards to the situations we face, which was the recall. Mind you, ever since should I say crisis or challenges started, I've not had a chance to explain to them. I wanted to speak to them through the local radio, but then I thought, you know what, let me keep that, meet with them and explain to them face to face. I owe it to my people. That is what a responsible leader will do. They had a lot of questions. They wanted to know, they wanted to hear from me what exactly was I going through, how serious was that, what are they supposed to do? They knew about the fake recall. They all heard about it, and they were really angered. So I had to educate them on that. So that was.
So the point the question I'm trying to ask you is, at what point do you think you may have crossed the line? Because what the government says you should not do is political gathering. At the moment when you started addressing the crowd and you were talking politics, don't you think you're a lawyer? Don't you think you've crossed the line?
No, like I said, I did not cross any line. Politics is a way of life. You are not a politician, but we are discussing politics here. Does it mean you have also crossed the line virtually, since we are discussing what happened in Kogi State? No. As a politician, even if I wasn't a politician, the atmosphere was tensed because of the political situations around. And it was like, believe me, even if it wasn't in my home, at every gathering, marketplaces, religious homes, schools, that discussion, Natasha's recall, Senator Natasha's suspension, was a burning topic in every home. So, I mean, there was no law broken, and I don't think the state governor has the right to dictate what I speak and how I communicate to my people and determine the nature of our conversations. That's wrong.
I'm not sure you have any grievance or any issues with Governor Ododo. I think both of you are cool, isn't it?
Well, to a large extent, I thought we were cool. Until he took heed of ex-governor Yahaya Bello's request, which was to align with my recall. I was actually surprised at that. And if you watched my speech at my hometown, I did mention that the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, first called on Governor Ododo to commence my recall, but he turned that down. And later on, 2 days after, on the 14th day of March, 2025 this year, Godswill Akpabio called on Yahaya Bello to commence my recall. And what did Yahaya Bello do? He tasked Ododo, and Ododo could not say no. So he went on. The petitions, the primary petitioners, the 14 of them that submitted the first cover letter, were all signed by special advisors to Ododo himself.
So you
they were all APCs.
You think you're inferring that the governor may have had a hand in your
he
recall?
has a hand. He gave approval. They're all his staff. All of them. Governor Dodo is the APC leader in the state. And for about 4 of the signatures there, the primary signatures supporting the first petition, the cover letter, were all his staff.
Let me
They're
ask
all
you.
his aides.
You said the Senate President Godswill Akpabio allegedly, according to you, called Governor Ododo, called Yahaya Bello, but you were not there when these calls came. And those who say it is spurious as far as if you cannot have or lay evidence on the call log on the moment they call, and you were not in the room when the call was being placed.
You know, there's nothing that happens around the Senate that one does not get to know, either immediately or the day after,
Even
or
if they
shortly
lie to
after. No, you have a way of verifying. I don't deal with just rumors. I make sure I verify. And I do have my primary sources. And the moment I got to know about it, it was actually about 10 p.m. So when Senator Asukwo drove him from Hilton Hotel to Godswill Akpabio's residence. And that's where the meeting held. And immediately after that, I called on the press. I'm not sure if I called you, but I know I spoke to the correspondent from about 3 newspapers, Guardian, Punch, and others. And I told them, even Premium Times, I think. And I was like, look, this is it. There's a plan to recall me. Why don't you put it out there? And they asked, where is the evidence? Of course, I didn't have any evidence, but it did happen. So shortly after, when the process started, they called on me. I said, oh, Senator Natasha, you actually told us. I was like, I did tell you. I wanted you to blow it up, because one thing about Nigeria is sometimes when you put out information and preempt them, they get to pull back. But again, the danger there is they could sue the media houses. Like, it will almost amount to hearsay or rumor that they went ahead to publish. So I do respect the publishing homes for not going out with that story, because it could have been dangerous, and counterproductive to their image. But I tell you, everything I speak about, I'm a lawyer, I'm a senator, and I understand how Nigeria works. And for me, the most important thing is this recall process has been stalled. And I give kudos and credit to INEC, even though I believe they should have thrown it away from the first on the first go. I think it was void ab initio, because listen to what the gentleman said, that there is no law in the Electoral Act that says that a petition should be discarded just because there is no address. But again, what if the address is false? Because the address provided there is number 4, Oboroikeba, Oboroke, Kogi State. I bet you there's no address like that. Oboroke is just 5 minutes away from me, and I did send people there. There is no address. Most of the streets in my hometown, they are not labeled. So the question to add to INEC is, what if the address is fake? And again, the cover letter of the petition was Kogi Central Political Frontier. And we ran a check with CAC, and that does not exist again. So the question to INEC is, can a non-registered body sponsor a petition against a senator? I think these are loopholes that INEC needs to look into and probably strengthen the laws in that, because I think it should have been discarded on the first go. But again, what I'm going to say is, even though INEC did count 208 signatures, I bet you if they had gone into the second stage, or is it the third stage?
The verification stage.
The verification stage, they would have struggled to even have 500 people come out to attest to signing that.
Let me quickly take you up on the fact that, are you worried if those who are behind the petition go again and restart the process of the recall?
I'm not worried, June. I'm not worried, because I trust my people, and my people connect with me. They resonate with the idea that I project, and they're actually very happy with the manner in which I have represented them. They are very happy with me.
You mentioned,
my election was one that was apolitical. It wasn't just PDP that voted me. It was a number of even the APC card-carrying members and other parties that voted for me.
So you said something in your tweet when you said that Natasha Akpoti to 2027 and beyond. It does look like you are very confident. And one of your associates said, if Yaya Bello and Ododo are on the same ticket, Natasha Akpoti will beat them.
Yes, I will.
Is that the kind of confidence that you have?
Yes, I mean...
You're that popular?
Very popular, very popular. And I think one thing that works for me is I live my life every day as a senator, educating people and creating awareness in the minds of people who have lost hope in politics. So I'm beginning to have a new kind of followership that believes that leadership, the standard of leadership, can actually increase, and their participation could help shape in Nigeria's political space. So whatever it is that I decide to, by the way, that poster that I did share was designed by my media team, and I think it's kind of futuristic, but also ambitious and daring. So honestly, daring.
So it means you are going back to the Senate even after now.
If I decide to, God sparing our lives, it depends. I have to speak to my husband first.
That you still want to be you still have the ambition of wanting to become governor.
You know,
which of them do you have now?
For me, I do believe in the power of now. I celebrate the moment, and I just have tomorrow. I live tomorrow in trust. I might not be alive by 2027, even though I pray to have a long, fulfilled life. But let's complete this term. 2027 will be determined based on the consultations I will have first with my husband, my children, my family, associates, and of course my community. If they tell me, Natasha, go ahead, I will go ahead. If they tell me, raise the bar, expand your political space, I will do so. But it all depends.
Quickly, we're due for a break, and I'd like to ask you, and I say it again, you are a lawyer, so you know the implication of what is being said, especially when you lay allegations, heavy ones are that. On the podium, you said that there were plans to kill you, and that the plan was not to kill you in Abuja, but to kill you right there in Kogi State. I'm very certain that you know the magnitude of that allegation, and you know what could become of that if it's not ironclad in evidence.
Shin, I'm glad you did affirm that I'm a lawyer. And even if I'm not a lawyer, I'm a sane individual. And I do stand by what I said. It was part of the meeting, the discussions Akpabio had with Yaya Bello that night to eliminate me. And
to what extent? To what purpose?
Let's say this. Let's ask the Senate President, why in the first instance did he withdraw my security, if not to make me vulnerable to attacks? Mind you, of all the senators there, well, let's just say, we're about 109 senators, but we all have different stories. I have been a high-profile, vulnerable individual because of the nature of politics I've experienced in the year 2018. Very violent and dangerous. And I've always had my security, okay? So, stripping me off my security simply because I'm suspended illegally. Actually, he just positioned me before attacks, and I knew immediately what.
Is that the reason why you think they want to eliminate you?
That's not it. Mind you, I said that there was a conversation. So that happened. I was suspended on the 6th day of March, right? And shortly a week after, which was the 14th, a week and a few days after when he met with him, he then emphasized that I should be killed, but I should be killed in Kogi. And that was one of the reasons why I did not go home on time. I delayed going home because I needed to put some measures on ground. I did write a letter to the Inspector General of Police, and I sent a copy to his WhatsApp. I forwarded the copy to his WhatsApp. He's not responded to that yet. But again, I've spoken on the phone to a number of persons in the security as well. I did notify them. And you see, this is Nigeria. We've had a number of political murders that usually are swept under the carpet, no investigation done. What is important to me is to stay alive, because dead men tell no tales. And God forbid, if I had not come out, and if I don't speak about this, and something happens, and they succeed in their plan, who is going to get
How
justice
can you
for me?
make such an allegations of a meeting where you were not present?
I heard it's just like, okay, how again? Like, I tell you, there were actually three conversations that happened that day. I spoke only about two. The third one was quite minute, which is that they should prepare to field in someone who will, just in case I want to contest in 2027, some strong person who will clinch the ticket from me during the primaries. That's the third part of it. The first was my recall. The second was to eliminate me. The third was to put in someone who would take the ticket from me in 2027 if I want to contest. So if you are doubting the veracity of the killing, yes, then what about the recall that we just experienced? Are you getting my point?
Are you able to prove this? That's the point. I mean,
you see,
anyone can make an allegation, but the issue is, are you able to prove it when it comes to it?
Let us get to that bridge. I'm hearing that the Senate President wants to sue me for that. I will tell him to go ahead. We'll meet and we'll cross that bridge.
All right, let's take a breather, everyone. Senator Natasha is still with me, and we might be talking about our suspension. What is the implication of this? Is Natasha Akpabio really embarrassing Nigeria with all what is happening? We'll be getting reactions after this break, everyone. Let us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Senator Natasha Akpabio has been speaking with us after our recall failed. You've been laying a lot of allegations against Senator Akpabio, and one of those things that you've said is that he withdrew your security, but he's not the IG, he's not the one in charge of police, he's not the one in charge of security.
It was one of the conditions of my attached to my recall. You know, there are about 6 of them. The first is I should be suspended for 6 months. Second is the window of pardon if I tender a written apology. The third, I think, was I shouldn't be seen near the vicinity of the National Assembly. Then fourth is my staff should their salaries and allowances should not be paid. Then my salary should not. And the last is also my security should be recalled, and the other is I should cease to present myself as a senator nationally and internationally. So yeah, he did mention that, and actually my security was recalled. The next day, 2 days after, my security was recalled.
So you think he's behind it, even though it doesn't look like he's the one who apportioned security?
Well, whatever is being determined on the floor of the chambers is just like a law. It's binding. So he probably instructed the clerk of the National Assembly to communicate with the Inspector General of Police office, and they did recall my security 2 days after my suspension.
I'd like to know, why did you raise the issue of sexual didn't you raise the issue of sexual harassment on the floor?
How do you mean? I should have just mentioned it.
No, I'm asking because, the issue of your seat was the contention when that altercation happened. But when you went on television, you raised the issue of sexual harassment. So I'm just curious, though, why didn't you raise it on the floor?
Okay, Sharon, I had told you I didn't want to go in details into the sexual harassment part because, there's been a whole lot of conversation, but I will touch a bit of it. The issue of my seat, me refusing to move to the seat, was born because I perceived that as a result of the malice I have suffered from the Senate President, one of many that I've suffered over the past 1 year. And I knew that it was coming from a point of anger and hate from the Senate President. And he decided to move me from my seat in order to kill my visibility. He moved me to a far corner near where the chamber staff sat, and that place the cameras hardly get there. So I knew that it was a tactic that he was deploying to kill my visibility in chambers. And I know that he did not follow the normal process because I ought to have been notified by the clerk of the National Assembly. Now, before where I sat, where used to be my seat in these new chambers, we were all notified 4 days before then. And I do have the notification where it's like a little chat, and every senator's name is written in their boxes. So you get to see your allocated seat. And then senators are given a chance to argue and say, you know what, I don't want to sit here, move me to this place. They could have one reason or the other, it could, and they were given a chance to argue. I wasn't even given a chance. I wasn't even notified.
Thereabout that seats were changed.
Well,
so you were not the only one.
If there are 10 of us that our seats were changed, I was the one that was moved to the worst part, while others were moved to my own seat, which was they progressed while I regressed in position. Do you understand? So I believe that I was the main target, while others were just made to seem as if we were filling in seats. Now, the excuse he gave, or they were saying, was that because Senator Ned Nwoko and someone else decamped. Senator Ned Nwoko sat right in the very front. If they are moving me to Senator Ned Nwoko's seat, that's fine. I mean, if they're saying they want to fill in the vacant seat, so move me right up front. I don't mind there. But why do you have of everybody? Why you move me there? And let me say this. I did mention that there is nothing that happens or is being spoken of, even in whispers, that you don't get to know. I already heard 2 days before that the Senate President complained to some senators that each time he walks through, because I was sitting by the aisle, the first seat at the top aisle near the door, that each time he walks through and he passes that, my presence angers him. He has complained about that. He had even told some people that I gave him the bad eye each time he walked past, and sometimes I don't even stand to honor him.
Why don't you
Let me say this. Since I resumed as a senator, I always observed and respected the protocol according to the Senate rules, and I always stood. And you will see lots of pictures I stood. The only 2 times I refused to stand were the 5th and the 6th of March, which was when I already moved to my new seat. These were the only 2 times, and that was out of protest. I said, you know what? We already had the heated conversation and the problem, and I did not stand to usher him in. I didn't join the procession in ushering him in on the 5th and the 6th after I have moved to that seat. But while I was sitting there, I always stood to observe the procession. So, but basically, what some people thought that, she was just rude. She didn't want to. She broke the Senate rule. She should have just moved to the seat according to that. But I knew that that was an attack, a further attack of many others that I have faced in a continuous manner, and that was why I refused to move. Because I knew it was born out of malice. I perceived the Senate President was hiding under the Senate rules to exercise his vendetta on me.
Well, you have a family relationship. Did you ever approach him to say you didn't like what was going on?
Earlier point, yes, I did. That was last year. That was at the earlier part of, I said I didn't want to go specifically into that. But when the whole relationship started, when I started rejecting the advances, and I experienced the hostility, I did mention a number of times to my husband, who would then speak to him. And there was a time we were also in London last year, January 12th. We visited him, his wife was there, and my husband was like, why is it that you're a bit unfriendly to her and that she's complained? And then he was like, why are you always reporting me to your husband? Why don't you tell me directly? And then when we resumed chambers, and the next time I saw him, maybe not allowing my emotions or something, and I was like, dear SP, I've tried to present this a number of times, why don't you allow me? He goes, Natasha, so you now see that no matter how many times you report to your husband, you have to meet with me. This is my space. Talk to me, blah, 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 make me happy and all of that. So I don't want to go into this, but the point is, I have a number of times met with people, even some senators.
Did you regret telling your husband about the sexual harassment when it started?
No, I didn't regret not telling him. The first thing is, a lot of women find it very difficult to speak about sexual harassment. Even women who are raped, many of them don't speak about it, and that's the worst part of it. Because there's a burden of shame that comes with speaking of sexual harassment, especially in this part of the world whereby it's a taboo for women to speak about any violation of her body or interests. You understand? As a society, we have not developed to a point whereby certain conversations are allowed. And I think probably it doesn't mean I don't trust my husband, but I think I was looking at preserving the friendship between himself and the Senate president. I didn't want to
relationship is totally collapsed right now.
Well, I think as for me, I don't think I would want to maintain any friendship with a person who does not respect boundaries, and I don't think we would have.
They're claiming that there are no evidence, no shred of evidence that you can prove that Akpabio harassed you sexually.
Is this the court?
No, not the court.
Exactly. So no. Let's leave that part.
And I've come back to the fact that you're a lawyer.
Yes, let's leave that part. At the right time, I will prevent at the right time and in the right space. I will present the evidence that I have. But let me say this: while I was illegally suspended, I was not given a chance for the matter to be investigated. And then the committee that was set up, which was headed by Senator Neda Emaswen, they did not invite me. The first time the invitation was sent out, it was on the 5th. That was the very day I submitted the petition. There was a court order that the committee should not sit for 72 hours, but explained to the court the reason why I should face that committee. They went ahead, had the session, had the meeting, they came up with the suspension, and there were also complaints by some senators that their signatures it was the attendance sheet that was used to endorse the report and not the senators themselves, which also amounts to the report being fraudulently conducted, which also again means my suspension is void ab initio as well. So a whole lot of irregularities surround my suspension. And then again, when I asked why was I suspended, they said I was not suspended for the sexual harassment. I was suspended for gross misconduct. And then you ask, what exactly was my gross misconduct? What did I do that amount? They say it's because I violated the Senate rules. But are they not in violation of the Senate rules? The Nigerian Constitution does not allow an elected officer to be suspended. But then the Senate says they are bound by their own Senate rules. The Senate rule says that a senator should be suspended for a maximum of just 14 days. Where did they get the 6 months?
Thank you for staying connected, my great and wonderful viewers. You can see everything the way it goes. You know, Natasha said she can never be silent, and this woman actually remained unsilent. Even when she was trying to come back to Nigeria, a lot of people were actually testing her messages upon messages that she should not bother to come back to Nigeria. Moment she went to international media houses to destroy Akpabio's career, to report Akpabio. She went to the US Congress, she went to different places just to ensure that she laid down the cases of Akpabio, and all of them have painted Akpabio black. Akpabio is in the international blacklist at the moment. But the moment Natasha was doing all those things in international communities and all, according to her, she said a lot of people are saying that she should not bother to come to Nigeria, but she said she will come to Nigeria. She's a lioness. And the moment she was trying to come to Nigeria, you saw the drama that took place in Kogi State, where Ododo, the sitting governor of Kogi State, which they know as the pet boy of Yaya Bello, according to a report, they said they connived with Akpabio and they imposed a lockdown in Kogi State that there should be no convoy and there should be no political gatherings and all of that. And Natasha said this is targeted to her, that she is aware. But at this moment, Natasha flew on helicopter and she said her husband is the mastermind of all this drama that actually took place, that it was her husband that arranged the helicopter and all of that. Now,
the idea of the helicopter, where did that idea come from anyways?
The helicopter, that was my husband's idea. It was a last minute thing. We wanted to celebrate Easter Salah with my constituents, which I always do. Even before I became a senator, you know, I usually send down some materials and some grains for them to share. And the last few days of Salah, I do spend with them. But in the wake of events, I couldn't go earlier. But I said, you know what, this very last day of the holiday, I should be with them. And then we sent out notifications. And just as the notifications went out, we read the press release from the state government, Governor Ododo, on behalf through the Commissioner of Information, Kingsley Fowler. mentioning that there was a ban on gatherings, rallies, whether social, religious, or political, convoys getting into the state, ban on fishing activities and all sort of water activities. And we just sat there looking at us like, I knew I was a target. Come on. Relatively, Kogi State has been quite peaceful, so there is no security concerns. And then we're actually wondering where that came from, but I knew I was a target.
Did you hear about the fishing issues and what was happening in Kogi West? Were you aware?
What was the fishing issues?
The issue, the arrest that happened, and according to the state government, that some people were attacked and there were issues relating to insecurity in that part.
If it happened in the last 1 month, then pardon me, like I said, I tried to stay away from a lot of negative news. I cared a lot about my mental health, and I needed to channel a lot of energy to focus on the issues that concerned myself and my constituents at that time. I'm sorry if it sounds a bit selfish, but I was just away from a whole lot. So back to this, if that happened, I'm so sorry. I think now that I've gotten a bit more breather, I will look at and see how I can intervene and lend my voice to curbing the vices. But now back on that, I had seen the prohibition of fishing activities and water activities, and the ban of convoys into, and also a list of checkpoints that were suddenly propped up, barring entrance into my senatorial district, that is Ibilo to Kogi, Auchi to Okene, Abuja, Lokoja, Okene Road, Akure, Ikare, exits into like all the roads were barricaded. And I knew that, okay, there was going to be trouble. So my husband was like, you know what, we can actually get a helicopter to land us right into our compound, because we do own the land opposite our village home, and that's how we got in. And I think with that move, we broke no law, and the people gathered right in my compound. The road you see us walking through, I constructed that road, so that's not the government road or facility, so I broke no law. I'm a good citizen of Nigeria, a law-abiding one at that. I'm sure you can attest to me.
Of this woman got her back 100%, and the people of Kogi State accepted her with full arm. But I said that's not enough. Natasha narrated the whole scenario of everything that Akpabio had been doing. She narrated it to her constituency people. She explained everything to them. She said she owned them explanation that there is people, they own her. So she explained everything. She gave account of everything. And I said that's not enough. They said her voice can never be silent. They said they will always get her back. And the moment she invited her, you can hear everything that Natasha said in Channels Television. She explained everything the same way she explained it in Arise TV. She came to Channels again. She bossed everywhere. You can see everything they said. This woman is not even having a single iota of respect for Akpabio again, because she believes that Akpabio is nothing but nothing not to be respected, even to the extent that Akpabio, that if he's entering the Senate House, all the senators will be on a standing ovation before he sits down and all of that. They give him that respect and accolade, but Natasha is not more standing for him again, because he sees that Akpabio is nothing to her again. That is what is happening, and the relationship between Akpabio and Natasha's husband have been breached at the moment. And according to the report, these people have been tight friends. They've been very close friends. But with this saga of Natasha that is ongoing, the husband of Natasha stood by his wife, and he said he will give his utmost support to his wife and all of that. He and Akpabio, they no more together because he sees Akpabio as a betrayer. That is what is happening now. They no more close again. Now, Natasha said everything in live television with Shehu Okinbaloye and all of that. And I said that's not enough. The news came in this evening. They said the court gave an order that neither Natasha or Akpabio should stop giving any press interview or any media house interview based on the issue that is ongoing between Natasha and Akpabio, that they did not want to see Natasha going for any interview again, and they did not want to see Akpabio going for any interview again. But the obvious fact is Akpabio never go for any interview. Akpabio did not speak anything about this issue. He didn't say anything about this issue. He have never been to any media house, and he have never give any press conference regarding this same issue of Natasha accusing him of harassment and all of that. Natasha have only been the one that have been granting interview. That shows that the court order is targeting Natasha directly, according to what a lot of people are saying. They said the court order is targeting Natasha and they really want to silence her based on this issue. And Natasha have said it. They said the justice system of Nigeria have collapsed. Even SAN, Femi Falana, came out and made it known to the general public that the judicial system of Nigeria have collapsed totally, that there's no justice for the people of Nigeria again. The judicial system of Nigeria have turned to a political party, and it is only when you are in the party that's when you can get justice. But if you're not in the political party of the judicial system, you cannot get justice. That shows that the judicial system is not the last hope of the common man. There's no justice for the common man, as far as what SAN, Femi Falana, a senior advocate of Nigeria, said with his mouth. And that is what is happening according to everything that we have been seeing on media and everything that we'll be hearing and all. Now drop your opinion in the comment section on this video regarding what Natasha is doing and regarding everything that have been happening, because according to the report, they said the 6-month suspension that they gave to Natasha and all of that, they said the court have made a ruling before that they should not suspend anybody at all. But the Senate House and all of that, the senators passed through the back. They disobeyed the court order to give Natasha suspension. And the same court is now saying that none of the two parties should grant any interview based on the issue again and all of that. But the same court that the Senate disobeyed by suspending Natasha, is it the same court that the Natasha in question wants to obey now? That's a question that a lot of people are asking. And the 6-month suspension that they gave to Natasha, they said according to the constitution, there's no way in the constitution that a senator must be suspended for up to 6 months. The highest you can suspend a senator is 14 days. But Nigerian senators have turned everything upside down according to what Natasha said.